and this is our initial meeting under the new chairs. The co-chairs are Rosemary Yelton, and I'm Richard Kazami. We'd like to give a big shout out, if everybody could, to Rosemary. She's just expanded her family. That's why she can't join us, but there's no better reason in the world than being in that situation. So congratulations, Rosemary. Thanks a lot, and look forward to a great year together, working together on this committee. I'd like to start off by seeing what committee members are here and if they can introduce themselves. I think first I see Juliet. Juliet, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hold on. Hi, this is Juliet, Community Board and member of Parks. Pleased to meet you all.
Okay, and Diana Lamoji.
Hi, this is Diana Lamanji. I am, what am I saying, Richard?
You're just introducing yourself, you know.
Okay.
People get to know the committee members.
Sure. So I live in Astoria. I grew up in Long Island City before it was, you know, unaffordable. I have 2 kids in public schools here in our district, and I am the co-chair of the education committee, and my life's work is to help improve the lives of women and children and families. So I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, and Amy, you have 2 hats to wear today, but I know that feeling. But give me your committee hat.
Hi, my committee hat. This is Amy Howe. I've been serving on the community board almost 10 years now, I think. I serve on this committee as well as the land use and zoning committee, and I'm happy to say hi to so many new faces. Great to see you all. And I'll be talking about Noguchi later. Thank you. Thanks, Richard.
Sure, and I remember 10 years ago in another life, there was a third party that we brought into the Parks Committee, and that was our public member, still our public member, Lynn Kennedy. Say hi, introduce yourself.
Hi there, everybody. Yes, I am that person, that public member. Good to see everybody, and it does look like there are a lot of new folks here, and I worked on the, Richard knew me in the capacity of the Friends of Astoria Heights Park, and the work that I and others had done there, and now I'm mostly just a social worker who lives and works in Astoria and still cares about parks. Thank you.
Thank you. And Shanaz.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me good?
Very well.
Good. Okay, my name is Shahinaz Hamdi. I am a member of the park and also in the transportation. I'm the chair for the one for health and human service. I'm in the committee for 4 years, I believe, something around this. Thanks so much, and have a good day.
Okay, did I miss anybody at this point? No, I think that's it. There are some other board members here. Quickly, Kathleen Mornak is a board member, but not a committee member. Elizabeth Arian. I don't know if I missed anybody else at this point, but so I'd like to start off with just saying a little bit about the Parks Committee and the Cultural Committee. You know, our goal is to discuss, you know, parks operations and capital initiatives, also on the cultural side, to increase awareness and support our cultural institutions, which are extremely important to our neighborhood. They need to be all incorporated in a neighborhood to create a healthy environment for positive growth, quality of life, and economic well-being. And we as a committee want to do everything we can to facilitate all that. And also another big part of what we're going to be doing this year is advocating for capital and expense projects, both on our capital and expense priority list for the community board and when we can individually. So that gives you an idea of what what we're trying to do here. This particular meeting is an exciting meeting. We have a wonderful waterfront area that's been developed and has a lot of cultural and parks institutions, and a lot of them are going to do presentations today. It's a great time to introduce them and everything that they're going to be doing, something that everybody can look forward to doing and enjoying this summer. So we'd like to start off with those presentations. And we'd like to start off with Socrates Sculpture Park. Let's see. Sarah, are you presenting? Okay, Sarah, if you'd like to introduce yourself, okay, and
Hey, I'm Sarah Fraser. I'm the Senior Director of Advancement at Socrates Sculpture Park. I'm joined today by my colleague, Richard Morales, who is the Director of Community Engagement. And yeah, we're here to just give a little bit of an overview about what's been happening over at the park this 2024. Let's see if I can get my presentation going. Hmm. Hmm. Mhm. Sorry. Also exciting and
Hi, so I could use that moment just to briefly introduce myself to the group. But as Sarah mentioned, I recently joined Socrates Sculpture Park as their new director of community engagement. This is now a little past the fourth week that I've been here, basically to work with a lot of community-based artists, collectives, individuals, both locally and throughout the city to bring programming to the space. So we'll be going through at least this summer's list of, or a brief list of the summer's programs in order to see how that plays out in the park and then work on next year's programming as well. My background is in arts and cultural programming. I worked for about 5.5 years at the LGBT Community Center, where I was their manager of arts and culture programming. So to me, experiences like this and being involved in community boards like this one serve as a great opportunity to keep people up to date on what programming we're working on and to perhaps find ways to collaborate with you all down the line. So I hope to work with you in the future. So thank you for having me here.
thank you. And I see we're up now with the presentation.
yay! Thank you. Yeah, so we just wanted to talk quickly, or not so quickly, but I wanted to start with, like, if this is a flashback to 1986 view of the park. We were created in 1986 by a group of community members who all came together to reclaim this abandoned landfill with the idea of using it for outdoor art presentation, movie screenings, and so much more. That effort was led by our founder, Mark DeSuvero, whose studio is still to the north of our park, and many, many members of the Astoria houses who joined other artists and community members to create the green space that you all know today as Socrates Sculpture Park, which didn't become a New York City park until 1998. But now we have a beautiful new building. If you've been through the park lately, you've probably seen that the fence has come down. And this beautiful reclaimed shipping container building is in its place. This was designed by Low Tech, who does all their work out of recycled shipping containers. This collection of shipping containers started with a gift from the Whitney almost 10 years ago when they moved into their new building and they wanted to donate the space that they were using for their education programming. So we're just very thrilled to have this permanent place to host events. We anticipate this probably being fully usable by the fall. And we're just happy to have indoor plumbing in the park. As far as some events, oh, this got cut off a little. There we go. Also, if you've been through the park, you've probably seen our newest show. It's called We Are Nomads, We Are Dreamers. The entire exhibition is done by Suchitra Matai. Your first entry to it is the Broadway billboard, which she had created, as well as in the Grove, you'll find there are hanging orbs, and then these giant continental forms with the mirrored tops. They are created through a weaving process that she's developed over the years with vintage saris. And nope, Wednesday, not tomorrow. Wednesday evening, we'll be having an opening reception. The artist will be present, and we'll be speaking with our curator, Caitlin Garcia Mestas, and there'll be a dance performance by Barka Patel. Right. And I'm gonna double check her name, but Barka Dance Company, she'll be performing as well within the installation. So that should be fun. There will also be several other times that Barka Dance Company will come through in the evening of July 18th, as well as August 25th on the closing event of the show. We're also excited to say that we will be bringing back yoga and kayaking in the park. We're still working out the details, so we can't quite say when it'll be happening. There's a lot of insurance adjustments and things that have to go through. But we are working. This has been Richard's #1 task since he joined. But we hopefully will be able to make an announcement soon about when everybody can come back to the park for free yoga. On June 20th, we'll be having our summer solstice event. The fellows are artists. We have 2 shows. The main show is the one that you see up now. That's our summer exhibition with Suchitra Matai. And then in the fall, we have a presentation of early career artists who participate in this fellowship program that we are known for. This year, we opened the park a little bit early to some of the fellows because they were very interested in creating work that was more plant-based. So now if you come to the park, you might see these different forms that look like, miniature gardens, or maybe they look a little bit sculptural, but they're entirely made out of trees. That's part of what will be folded into the fall exhibition. But on the 20th, we'll be celebrating the summer solstice along with those artists who will do some activations with their individual sculptures. So that's going to be a fun evening. On June 22nd, we'll be bringing back the Fortune Society's Creative Arts Festival, which is a great time in general with all of those artists. The Metropolitan Opera will return on June 28th, that Friday, which is always a fun time. The Ballet Folklorico Mexicano de Nueva York will do Guelaguetza on July 28th, another fun annual event. On August 8th, we're going to be doing a artist reunion picnic. So we're going to be, we've invited all of the artists that have participated in Socrates Sculpture Park. This is over 700 artists for the last 38 years. And so we did this last year in the fall, and the feedback we got was, it's great, let's do it again, but please not so cold. So we're doing it in August. And we also are having this Soccer Resiliency Lab celebration on September 14th. The Resiliency Lab is an extension of our teen programming. The teens come together in July and August. They work 4 days a week, and they develop different skills: project planning, carpentry, budgeting, art making, just a range of different things. And the idea is that they do something to improve the park in some way. And if you see in this photo, myself and our curator, Caitlin, are standing on top of one of the green roofs that are on top of where the portisans usually are. We had moved them out for while the kids were working and for this celebration that we were having for this last year's project. This year we're working with some solar panel experts to help us work on some solar power generated activities. So that'll be a great opportunity, and we've had a really good response from the community for the teens that are participating in this program. And then September 28th, we look forward to doing some fundraising in the park. It'll be Party in the Park, September 28th, and an all-day event to help us raise funds because we are a nonprofit organization. And we are funded by amazing board members and other individuals and foundations, as well as government support from the Department of Cultural Affairs and the New York State Council on the Arts. And that's about it for a general Socrates overview. I guess we can, not sure if we have any questions for me or Richard.
Okay, I'm checking in the chat. I don't see any questions, but do any of the participants of this meeting have any questions? They can just raise their hand. I do have one question I can ask. This is just sort of a general question. Perhaps we know what the status of the seawall is, and if there's any plans towards the renovations on the seawall.
We were told that renovation would be happening. We were told a year ago it was going to happen in a month. So I know that the design has made it out of that process, but we haven't had any further input from or update about the seawall renovation.
We do have a few questions now.
Yeah.
Shaz?
Yeah, hi everyone. First, I want to tell you how I love Socrates. It's so beautiful, and I like all the activities there, and even the plant. And I see the new closet. People leave books, and I was able to get some books. It was really good. Do you have any classes for garden?
We are having we have one coming up this weekend. So we do have a weekend series called Field Guide. And they are usually from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And this week it will be doing planting and gardening on the 15th, I think. Yes. So that'll be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. But you should always check our website or our Instagram to see more updates on the field guide. And that's where we do any of the gardening aspect. But yes, that's definitely something that's come up and something that Richard and I are thinking about in terms of like further developing like a volunteer program around.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Was somebody saying something? No,
I don't know if you wanted to call on people, Richard, or
yes, no, I'm calling on people now. Okay. The next is Jeff. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, thanks, Richard, for having us, and thanks, Sarah, for being here. I actually want to second. Hold on a second, Milo. My son's calling for me. We just got back from Socrates Park. Actually, we were playing soccer. So I live right across the street. So I wanted to ask a question. Really love all the programming that you guys have, and I've asked Amy this question before. Pre-COVID, movie nights, favorite nights of the week in the summers. Is there any thought about bringing that back at some point?
Sure, we stopped doing movie nights in 2018, mostly due to budgetary reasons. We would have to pay, regardless if we got rained out or not, we'd have to pay to like use like rooftop films to use all the equipment. And it was sort of like just a really onerous on the staff. But we are aware how beloved they are, and it is definitely an art form that we want to bring back into the park. That's again like something Richard and I have been thinking about because the movie night started like back in the 90s, late 90s, as a like just like a one-off festival, and then they grew to become the like weekly film festival or weekly film screening that everybody loved, that was in partnership with Film Forum. And so we're just taking this summer to do some reimagining, especially as like technologies have changed and our capabilities may be different. But yeah, it's definitely something that we've been considering, but isn't on the agenda sort of, or the schedule this month, for this summer.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, excellent. I would just, love those nights. So just want to kind of get that on record. I know I've talked to Amy about that before, so I just wanted to again get that on the record. The other thing this summer is there going to be a farmers market on Saturdays this summer?
Oh yes, good question. Richard, did you want to answer that, or do you want me to?
Yeah, so it's not in any of our brochures just yet, but on June 20th, June 22nd, in collaboration, also during the Fortune Society's Creative Arts Festival, that's when the farm stand will kick off. That's also run by the Soccer Teens program and the Resiliency Lab program as well.
Excellent. Can't wait. Thank you. And thanks for coming tonight.
By the way, quickly, I have a big vote for the movie night also. I actually performed at a couple of them, so it'd be great to see them come back. Lynn.
Hi. My question was about the new building, sort of, is that mostly used for, you said a combination, just remind me, of office space and educational space? And then how do, I guess the second part of that, is this open to, just District 30 schools, or how does it work?
Oh yeah, so the office, so we had our ribbon cutting in April. And the office, the way it works is the second floor is like the private office for Socrates staff. And then the first floor is available for public programming. And again, Richard and I are like in thinking about like what are the ways that we can do this. I mean, the first that comes to mind is like we're able to program when there's inclement weather. So thinking about like our meditation class, if we have it on Tuesdays, like we could maybe carry it through to the winter. But as well, like maybe we can have more organized field trips throughout the winter, as well as extending our own education programming year round as well. So definitely something that would be open to, we're visited by schools all over Queens, all over the city. So it's always open to all the schools. But yeah, it's we're sort of thinking about all the different ways that it could be open to programming, and we're open to ideas as well. So I'll make Richard put his email in the chat, and you can email him if you have an idea.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, also put in the link to your site so people can follow up and
Sure.
for all the events that you've discussed. Lynn, do you have some more? Do you have another question?
No, not really. I'm always excited for the programming at Socrates, and thank you for all the work you do. Thanks.
We have a couple questions in the chat. One is from Allison Wallace. Do you work with outside entities on movie programming?
Right. So we did do programming when we did it before. It was curated in combination with Socrates staff and Film Forum, the movie theater in the city. And we've also done it in Manhattan. And then we've also done programming in conjunction with the Museum of Moving Image. So we haven't really figured out, what shape it would take if we did it again. But those are, I think MoMI would be a great one to go back to, of course. And then there's so many cool filmmakers here in Astoria and Queens. So we're pretty blessed to be able to reach out into our backyard for that kind of support.
Good. Okay. And another question is, do you have this is from Diana. Do you have programming other language and also children's programming?
Children's programming. So on Sundays we have programming with International Dance Ensemble. And we
Awesome.
also have International Girls Dance Ensemble on Sundays at 11. I think that'll be wrapping up soon. In July, we'll have Groove NYC will be coming through to do programming with young kids. And then our Queensboro Dance Festival will be doing in August in the evenings, and that's like a very family oriented, so not specifically like just like a drop off kids type of thing, but you can like kids can participate. And then Hip to Hip Theater does a children's programming with their Shakespeare performance, and that is 2 Sundays in August. The other children's programming that we have is with children's camps. So if you have so we work with Hannock, who has a up the street, the community center. They have like ongoing summer camps, and we host their camps a couple times throughout the summer to do hands-on sculpture making and other kinds of art making. And we'll do that with other Variety Boys and Girls Club, like other places that hold camps. And so if there is like, if you have a school that you think would be interested and want to take advantage of that, definitely get in touch and let us know. But there isn't any more children's programming than that. And as far as programming in other languages, I think that's been something that Richard has considered. I know that it's been something that's come up a few times, specifically with Spanish speaking programming, but I don't think we've gotten too far down the line with any planning.
Yeah, so the Gelagetsa Festival is going to be bilingual right now. This is something that is, having programming available in different languages is something that's important to me as the son of immigrants. And so it's something that I would love to work on a little bit more. So if there are any ideas that you have as well around this, I did put my email in the chat. So feel free to reach out to me and we can set up some time to talk about what that could look like.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, thank you guys so much. You're one of the top institutions in our neighborhood, and we all support you, and you support us, and it's a great relationship, and I look forward to it going on for many, many years. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, there's just one question about Quinella about a taste of Astoria by inviting
Oh, I
food
see that.
vendors. I love this idea. I think we'll have to talk to our Parks Department friends, but definitely would be an amazing event.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, and now I'd like to bring up representing Noguchi, the one and only Amy Howe. Amy and I have worked together for many years. We seem to follow each other around on committees.
I'm trying to share my screen. Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay. So hi, good evening, everyone. I also want to say that there's one more committee, Richard, that I'm recently joined that we haven't talked about, which maybe we should bring up towards the end of this meeting, is the capital and expense budget committee. And I will be chairing that with Corinne Haynes, who's not on this committee, but the two of us will be, I think, meeting over the summer to talk about some of the items from previous years so that when we go back into our fall schedule, we can all, talk about some of those projects, some that have been ongoing for many, many years, such as the seawall and other things. But anyway, the Noguchi Museum, I am just so thrilled that we have an excellent exhibition up right now. I think many of you have been to the museum. If you haven't been in a while, please come back before July 28th, because we have an excellent exhibition up. I can't seem to share screen. There we go. So the current exhibition is called Toshiko Takaezu, Worlds Within. It is on view at the museum until July 28th, and thereafter it's going on a traveling excursion, quite an extensive travel excursion. And from what I understand, we have really one of the larger display of this exhibition. It's a single artist retrospective. Toshiko Takaezu was a friend of Noguchi's, And she used to bring her students to the museum in her lifetime, and it was always wonderful to welcome her and her students and apprentices. She did mostly ceramic, and yet she also did textile and painting. The retrospective we have up right now is almost 200 works. And the show that will travel after it leaves us will be composed of different variation. It's not going to be the full 200 pieces. So it's really a stunning show that you should come see here at the museum. So this first slide is the entry to the exhibition. The work on the left is a full size, it's almost 5 foot tall ceramic work by Toshiko Takaezu. And the work on the right is a work by Isamu Noguchi from 1952. And both artists being Japanese American, both, with Japanese descent, they both went to Japan after the war to really look at traditional crafts and, meet with traditional artisans and learned about all kinds of crafts technique. And both went to this one bizenware artist. That bizenware means that it's fired but not glazed. And they both studied with this master of ceramics in Japan in the 50s. But their expressions are very different. The one on the left here, Toshiko basically made her vessels on a wheel, and it went up as she went along. Noguchi, however, did his sort of by applying slabs of clay and building up instead of working on the wheel. Here we have some of her early works. She was born in Hawaii, born and raised in Hawaii. She got her first taste in working in ceramics very early on in the 40s in Hawaii after working for a company called Hawaiian Pottery Guild or something like that. And in that time, she sought out teachers who would show her techniques. And by the early 50s, she found a Finnish ceramicist who was teaching at Cranbrook. So she packed up her bags and went from Hawaii to Michigan, from what do we call volcano to ice, to learn the practice. And so this slide here represents some of her early works as a student under her teacher, Maya Grotel. And Maya Grotel was very encouraging to her and said, Toshiko, you need to discover your own voice. Don't follow me. Because Grotel was doing a lot of traditional forms, and they're very functional. You can see the last slide to this slide, Toshiko had already departed from making functional objects. And she became best known for these closed forms, which has a very teeny tiny little vent hole at the very top of each. It's very deceiving to tell from the slide, like the blue piece here is about maybe 5 inches tall. This back one here in the brown, that very tall one, is actually sitting on a floor, so not on this textile she created. So all of these are varying sizes from, 5 inches to 2-3 feet high. And you notice that there's a textile on the base. And this is a textile that she did herself. She would dye her own wool. She would, create these large pieces of textile, and placing the textile on her with her vessels. She really was trying to create imaginary landscapes. Here's a gallery view of another installation of these orbs that she did, also very closed forms. You can't really tell. It's a very bad picture. I'm so sorry but you have to come see it for yourself. The black ground on the floor is actually black lava sand, which evokes again a sense of Hawaii, black sand beaches, as well as sort of the cosmos. And we thought it was so appropriate for these moons to be sitting on black glittery lava sand. And so again, you must come and see this for yourself. This is a very bad picture. But so I just wanted to share with you. So this is how she displayed a lot of, that's Toshiko wearing the purple. She had displayed her moons in her driveway on gravel. And we just really thought, you know, how interesting that she wasn't precious about her ceramic ware, but left them out in nature. And we thought we kind of mimicked that a little bit, but we did it with a little bit of intention on both the Hawaiian evocation and also the idea of the cosmos with black sand. This next one is another one of her textiles. It's really huge. It's almost 6 by 12 feet wide. And using her colors and her the way that she designed, I mean, this almost looks like a painting rather than just, you know, a piece of carpeting. And so we actually hung this up on the wall so that you can see the layers of landscape and sky. It's a really beautiful textile. And this is, again, all hand done, more textile around the moon. And this work is a installation of columns that she did. These columns actually look very much like tree limbs. And this is actually sort of a compilation where she's really recalling seeing forest fires that devastated trees in her native Hawaiian land. And so she did a whole series of these columns over time in the 90s. And these stand quite tall. They're almost 8-9 feet tall. And they're made in sections. Again, you know, very deceiving. You wouldn't imagine them to be ceramic, but there they are. And here she did these moons. Her moons, she was very, I think, playful with the idea of weightlessness. And she had a student who was helping her with getting a lot of, she was making a lot of these at one point during the 80s. And she was making so many she needed places for them to be kind of hung or set somewhere to dry. And one of her students devised this hammock system. And she loved it so much that from then on, every installation had to have hammocks with these moons and resting in them. Here's another installation view of these large scale vessels. These are anywhere between 3 feet to almost 5.5 feet tall. I mean, they're life size. I can stand next to them, and they're just so incredible. Again, very hard to tell in photographs, but layers of glazing. If you've done any ceramic, you would appreciate her technique and how she was able to use glaze as paint. And here she is with, this is Toshiko, a photograph of Toshiko with some of those larger vessels. And these were all done mostly in the 90s. So that's my presentation tonight. I just want to encourage you all to come see this show. It's fantastic. We are, as you know, Sarah had described, you know, they opened in 1986. And the Noguchi Museum, Noguchi himself opened the museum in 1985. So both organizations will be celebrating 40th respectively, starting next year. And so there'll be a lot of programming to come. I mean, I don't have them all yet, but we're definitely hoping to start off with a bang in May next year. But after this ceramic show closes, we will bring the second floor back into as close a presentation to when Noguchi had installed the galleries back in 85 as possible. And we'll leave it up for almost a year. But within that, we'll also do some smaller interventions. We'll have some really interesting things. So all to come, and I'll drop in the Noguchi website in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amy. I have a quick question for you. There was recent expansion across the street, and can you give a little background on the new facility that you've expanded on? And I think there was other expansions in the works, I think, of some sort.
Nothing's been expanded on yet. Everything's on hold.
Oh, all right. Okay.
But now everything's on hold. So yeah, as soon as we have any, definitive details, I will definitely share. But right now things are on hold.
Okay, good. Okay. Are there any questions that anybody has? Or anything in the chat? No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Amy. I greatly appreciate it. Okay. And we all greatly appreciate everything that you've been doing for the community and Noguchi Museum, which is a
Richard.
definitely neat facility. Yes.
Sorry, this is Diana. I can't find the raise hand. I'm on my phone.
Oh,
I have a question, and it's the same question I asked previously about children's programming. If I know that my children's school went on a field trip, like they organized a Saturday family day at Noguchi, so I was curious as to, you have more of that.
Yeah, I mean, we're really taking a look at some of the programming right now. We're ending the season probably through July. A lot of our programs are on weekends. There are family programs, teen programs. Some of the children programs are early, on Saturday morning. And again, I'll drop a lot of that into the chat here. They are not as regular as, some of the programs you heard at Socrates, and we do team up with Socrates quite a bit. I think the field guide is something that we work on together. There are various programs on community days. We will bring back our First Friday, where actually we just had one this past Friday, and we actually had a wonderful performance of the Astoria Choir, and they were itinerant singers within the gallery. So they were moving around in the museum, which is lovely to hear the sounds and the acoustics from different rooms. The children's program, again, they're very sort of programmed, so you need to look at the calendar and sign up for those. And because we have, we do have some capacity issues, so a lot of them are not just drop in, but you need to register for.
Richard, if I can just cut in *9 if you want to raise your hand and you're on a phone.
Okay. And Katie, your hand is raised.
Thanks, Richard.
Katie?
I don't know. I'm also on my phone.
No,
and so sorry. Diana, to your question about children's programming, my kids did this wonderful program almost 2 years ago now maybe it's almost actually 3 years ago. And
yeah.
Last week I actually emailed Amy because I wanted to speak with you about trying to bring that back. And it's such a special place. And, a lot of museums you think are not kid friendly, but I mean, even without the programming, the Noguchi is very family friendly and kid friendly. And they have, even on the weekdays, there's a scavenger hunt kids can do. When you enter the museum, you can ask for it. It's a sheet, it's really such a wonderful and special place. And Amy, it's so great that you're now heading the organization. But, I will email you. And thanks for coming to the committee.
No, we'll talk.
Sharing.
Thank you, Katie. Yeah, I mean, I do recognize that, there's a lot of families who came through. I was so pleasantly surprised by hearing from a couple who, the couple's kids are now grown, and they basically, just said, oh, my kids came through here like every program, every month, and they grew up in the museum, and that was just really fascinating to hear and to think about, the longevity of some of these institutional programs. So yes, we'll definitely work on that some more.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it, and we all do. And another institution that's existing on the Western Queens waterfront here, which has been around a few years, is the Welland Court Mural Project, which is a wonderful curated public art on the streets of Old Astoria. So I'm going to bring up Allison Wallace from Welland Court to let us know what's happening this year.
Here we go. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here tonight. Thank you, Amy from Noguchi and Stacy from Socrates. It's wonderful to hear your programming, and I hope that we can have more communication in the future so we can all coordinate different types of programming dates and such. That whenever I had the first street art gallery in Bushwick, I helped to reestablish that neighborhood. And one of the things that we did was in order to help bring more public out to that area, because no one was really coming out there, we all coordinated our opening nights, and it was like third Wednesdays or something like that, where we had different art walks and things, and that really helped to reestablish that whole area. But I definitely wanted to touch base on how things were going this year. It's our 15th anniversary this year, and things are rapidly in progress. June 29th is our opening from noon until 8. And so we already have 60 confirmed artists. I have a couple more buildings that have been given to me that I literally just drove back from the city, as we were starting this meeting. I just got back. I live up here in Vermont. And so I just spent the weekend going around talking to property owners and artists and different types of people who want to be involved in different kind of like pop-up things. And so I reached out to the community garden. They have a space now where they show movies. And there was a movie that was filmed called Street Art Heroines, and it's all about women in street art. And since New York helped to really build the foundation of street art and graffiti, that the world is now really becoming interested in. The movie's really taken off. It was picked up by, I think, Amazon, and the producer lives not too terribly far away. And part of the movie was filmed at Welland Court. It was just released it was like maybe 2 or 3 months ago. And so I was really hoping to show that movie. And I spoke with Richard about it, and I haven't really heard back about Socrates and their movie capabilities. And so I asked earlier if you guys were, because I just want to have it shown somewhere, because I think it's kind of a pivotal moment within the community and everything. So so we're trying to show the movie. There's a pop-up couple that's going to be playing different types of jazz music on June 25th. That's when I'll be on site helping the artists do their installs. They're already coming out and painting the neighborhood. Shiro, who's an internationally recognized powerhouse female graffiti writer, is painting up on Astoria Boulevard, I believe. She has the corner building that used to be the Artemis Restaurant Supply. Yeah, so lots of new sponsors are coming on board. There's been discussion today about extending everything down to the New York Bud that had just opened up over kind of by the Costco area over there. So a lot of people want me to help curate walls all the way down the waterfront and all the way up. I've spoken with the Queens Economic Development Board about creating a walking trail so people can see the variety of different murals up and down the waterfront, to also help facilitate getting exercise, getting outside. I've had a lot of people approach me about having graffiti summer camps for teenagers and numerous different things. So as I'm kind of getting more of a financial structure to the backbone of everything, I think all these things are going to be quickly falling into place. and then hopefully having another big gathering. I believe it's the second week of October when Open House New York has their big event. They've really supported our endeavors and have highlighted our project. And so they're excited to work with us again this year for that. So yeah, so I'm excited to see how things are evolving. We'd love to see you guys out there. I would be honored to give you guys a tour of all these amazing nooks and crannies that have been re-envisioned and brought, you know, beautiful color and shapes and stuff. We have legends in street art and graffiti this year. Like I said, 60 confirmed artists so far, and I'll probably be pulling on another 15 to 20. Most of them are professional artists that are, you know, known definitely nationally, definitely internationally. Like Days, he's a founder of graffiti. Smith, Lady Pink, BG183, Noah, SP1, Queen Andrea, John Fechner, Mike 171, Wayne COD, Stash. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And one of them in particular I wanted to highlight was this street artist named Tom Bob. Tom Bob has 248,000 followers on Instagram, and he's done a site installation also on the Artemis building. But the new renters of that building have been talking about basically they're not going to do a 5 points and whitewash the whole thing, but they do want to paint over that entire building. So there's a small chance that I might be losing that building come September. But Tom Bob is requesting to work with the Parks Department to paint a stone in the driving circle by the community garden. To him, it looks like a piece of carrot cake, and he's sketched up the images for me, which I need to get over to you guys. But he's requesting to potentially paint that if everybody's okay with that, which I think would be a big draw. His pieces usually are. A lot of people kind of look at it like a scavenger hunt when they know Tom Bob's been in the city to paint pieces. He takes normal circumstances like spotlights and stuff on the outsides of buildings and turns them into like a butterfly, or you know, I saw this one radiator in a kid's school and he turned it looked like a kid chomping on a piece of corn. It was just, he has a wonderful, whimsical, creative eye. And potentially tomorrow I'm going to go and meet this artist. He's from Portugal. He's in New Bedford, Massachusetts right now doing a large scale installation. His name is Bordalo. And he uses all recycled plastic pieces to make large scale sculptural installations, but he's considered to be more of a street artist because he likes to install them on fences sometimes. This case in particular, he's doing a large, I think it's just a street installation. So yeah, so lots going on, lots of beautiful pieces coming, and I look forward to showing you guys this year's installation. So if anybody would like to sponsor the project, we're going to be putting out a map this year, kind of like a commemorative map, where we'll have a listing of all of our sponsors and the artists and hopefully some of the other restaurants and things that will be supporting the project. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to drop in my phone number and email. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for having me here, Richard. And yeah, does anybody have any questions?
Okay, and thank the community board for having you too. Okay,
Absolutely.
And, yes, and Lynn, you have a question?
I do. I did my manual hand and then I found my real hand. My Zoom hand, I mean. So wow, that sounds so exciting, and congratulations on the 15 years. And do you have any relationship with the DOT?
I do.
There's so many you know, underpasses that are so conducive to beautiful art. There's been a lot of graffiti in the area where I live, but there also are a few Wellingcourt artists who I think are coming over to my neighborhood. And so it's been kind of interesting to see, this leak into other neighborhoods, and I'm happy, really happy
Mhm.
to see it. I just wish it was a little bit more that other building
Or did she freeze? I can't hear her
Yeah, she
any.
froze up.
amenable to it, to having us there underpass. I might be frozen. Am I unfrozen?
Yes,
Sort of, yes.
there you are.
It looks like my internet connection's a little wobbly.
Mhm.
Well, if it goes out again, then just move on. But my question was just that partially about the relationship with DOT and would they would any Court artists be willing to come over and
Yeah,
beautify
I
the town, so to speak? Not
totally.
just one area, but like I'd love to see the art all over the place because it really does a job in beautifying, like trees do
Absolutely.
for parks. Good art actually also excites me. So
Absolutely. I am but one of at least 5 major other mural projects in and around the city. Since I started my project, I have advised other municipalities on how to start their own mural projects because graffiti and street art started really coming up in New York. It's become like the mainstay. And so not only are there people living in New York to do that craft in particular, but there are people internationally coming to me to ask for walls. So there's a concept that was developed somewhere in France. One of these artists told me that people's homes or businesses, if they choose to register a wall with the city, then you can apply to be a professional artist with the city, and then you're given a list of walls where you can sign up, and then you have that wall for a year, and then you can go and paint that wall. So it's a different way of management style because there are so many different places in the city that have pieces on them that I mean, I would have to have a very large team of people to help manage that. And I'm still trying to get my feet underneath me for, the 150 people that I'm doing right now. And, each one of these artists are also independent contractors and are trying to make a living doing all of this too. So they're out there hustling, they're out there getting word of mouth stuff, they're painting all around the city, and they're being flown out to numerous different countries, to be like the representative of New York to show them what they got. And so, like, Shiro just represented New York. She was flown out to China. She was the only woman of 100 other male artists. And she was actually, when she walked into the stadium so they could be presented, the cameraman didn't even high five her. He just thought she was one of the crew. And she picked the biggest wall, did it all by herself in half the time that the guys did. And this is the woman that's painting modestly, this beautiful Japanese woman, by herself very quietly. And she's been painting there for a decade. And so this is the type of quality of people that are in this neighborhood. And I try to help people understand that these people are in museums. These people are legends. Like, their artwork is being sold at the auction houses, so I wish that I could do that. I do have connections with DOT. Thankfully, they helped move the city bikes away from one of my major walls a couple years ago. Like, that was like an incredible feat. But yes, I would like to work with them more. So if anybody has any connections with, like a heartline into their art department or community, I don't know what it is called, but I would be honored to work with them and help them line up some artists to help. Just, I don't know if we need just to like go into neighborhood by neighborhood and do these site specific, installations that need it, but I'm open to just about anything. I have an out of the box problem solving style, so I can conceptualize most about anything. So thank you for your question. It's a good one, and I hope it evolves in that way. So
Hmm. Good, thank you so much.
Sure.
One thing, if you could, possibly to the community board, if you could send an email or something, I'd like to know more about that concept of the government registering walls and things like that. I mean,
Absolutely.
something that's possibly could be looked at. But thank you again so much. You've been a great asset to the neighborhood, and we look forward to it expanding and growing over the years. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next we have, I'm going to interject something in a second. We will have the Long Island City Boathouse, but before then, I wonder if we could bring Monet from New York City Parks up. Monet, are you available? If not, afterwards. Okay, well, okay. One of the institutions that's been just a wonderful institution on our waterfront, both here and in Long Island City, is the Long Island City Boathouse. It's an interactive institution that plies our waterways with kayaks and is run by volunteers, and it's just been one of the greatest things that you can do in the summer down there. To that effect, I'd like to bring up Ted Gruber, who will discuss a little bit of what's going on for the coming season. I know that they're confirmed, I think, for Newtown Creek area, but I also know that they're working on the possibilities of having something in Hallett's Cove right now.
Yeah, thanks, Richard, for inviting me. Yeah, the Long Island City Community Boathouse has been providing free public walk-up kayaking for 19 years. I started with them 18 years ago. We are most well known for being at Hallett's Cove. People think the boathouse is there because that's where they see us most of the time. On a busy summer day, we'll have 20 boats in the water. Most of them are tandems, two-seat boats. Anybody can walk up, sign a waiver, get a life jacket and a paddle, and go paddle around for 20 minutes, even longer if there's not a crowd. Volunteers make it all happen. Nobody gets paid. We need a half a dozen minimum, a dozen better on a busy day to make it work. I'm going to try to show a couple of pictures, if I may. Share my screen. I've got a not very well prepared slideshow. This is a batch of photos that were taken at Hallett's Cove. There we go. I believe a picture tells the story. We were operating there before the ferry came to Hallett's Cove. The ferry reduced the zone that we use by about half, but half of Hallett's Cove is still a pretty big zone. There's the Canada geese. The ferry is not a problem. We put out those orange buoys, also human being buoys on volunteers on boats keep people from straying too far. Hallett's Cove is one of the very few places in New York where there's a little bit of beach to give you access to the water. In most places, there's a wall. You're walled off from the water, fenced off from the water. This is our waiver table at the outside the gate where you walk up, sign a waiver, get a hand stamp before you go to the next step and get your life jacket. On a busy day, the line can grow to a half hour, 45 minutes. In the beginning, when I showed up, we were bringing 3, maybe 4 boats, car topping them, put them in a pickup truck, very small capacity. Over the years, we've learned to paddle boats up. When tides were appropriate, we would paddle a fleet of boats up from Long Island City with the flood tide, bring them home at the end of the day on the ebb tide when the tides worked in our favor. And more recently, Socrates has found a little bit of space for us where we keep a few stacks of boats in the sculpture park. The amount of capacity is dependent upon the amount of boats that we can field. We've got a lot more boats that we can bring, and we had a recent meeting with Socrates where we're hoping they can find a little more square footage for us. We would have been opened already, like our sister boathouses. It's a slow going to get the paperwork done as as Sarah and Richard mentioned, that's underway. We hope to see that completed in the coming days. And a week or two after that's accomplished, we can announce our opening day. What more can I add? There are perks for the volunteers. Nobody gets paid, but sometimes you get coffee and bagels in the morning, pizza at the end of a work party. But the best perk we have is river trips. When the work is done, volunteers get to take boats up or down the river. Some of our trips are a circumnavigation of Roosevelt Island. Sounds like a big deal, but it's really about an hour and a half of going with the current, tidal change, and the current will help us get back as well. Longer trip, we just did on Saturday a circumnavigation of Randall's Island, up the East River, through the Bronx Kill, back down on the Harlem River into the East River again. In the other direction, we'll go as far as Brooklyn Bridge Park in a little over an hour. The secret is the tidal currents help us to get where we're going. I put our URL in the chat a little while ago. You might have to scroll to find it, and I put my my email address in there as well. I guess that covers it.
Good. Thank you so much. That's great. Yeah, you're a great institution, and I hope that everything works out and you can join us again. Make sure you let us know, when you have, if and when you've confirmed the date, so we can get the information out. Also, if you I see that you put your email. Do you have a website also that you can put in the chat that everybody can?
Yeah, I'll put that in again. It's probably scrolled out of sight.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to add, you guys are familiar with Hellgate, and you see how fast that water moves, and it gets pretty choppy and exciting. But you also might notice that 4 times a day, Hellgate comes to a stop. It's flat as a pond. That's when we can take beginners from Hallett's Cove just around Hallett's Point, and in 30 minutes, we're in front of Astoria Park. Perhaps before the summer's over, we can take the Parks Committee out to have a waterside view.
Yes, let's do it.
Astoria Park, Ralph DeMarco Park. Keep after Richard so we set a date. If we don't set a date, it doesn't happen.
Good. We have a question from Katie Ellman.
Muted.
Sorry, it's not a question, it's a comment. Hi, Ted, I owe you a callback.
Yes, you do, Katie. Good to see your picture, at least.
I would say just how exciting and wonderful and life-changing it is for the land lovers that finally do get out onto our waterways. Volunteering even one time is worth being able to go out on the water. Especially the sunset trips are just really mind-blowingly beautiful. So if people are interested and able to volunteer with the Boathouse, it's more rewarding than you could imagine. So thanks, Ted.
Your kids are probably old enough to go paddling already. And,
we'll talk more about that.
we have infant life jackets as well. Not for the Hellgate trips, but for the Hallett's Cove kiddie stuff, I call it.
Okay. Lynn, see you have your hand up.
Yeah, just a quick question. Hi. How many boats do you have? And then what you talked a little bit about group paddles, but what's your longest group paddle? Like where do you go?
The longest one, I think, is the circumnavigation of Manhattan Island. It's nearly 30 miles. It takes us, we drag it out. It takes 11 hours, but 3 of those hours are sitting on a beach, eating a sandwich, taking a break in a couple of different spots. That's an extreme trip. Once or twice a year, we try to do it. We've done it by night, which is a beautiful thing when it's 100 degrees and humid in the summertime. It's only 85 at night. But a typical long trip, we can get to Barretto Point Park in the Bronx in under 2 hours. From Socrates Park, it would be probably just over an hour. Barretto Point Park in the South Bronx. We'll go through Hellgate, between the Brother Islands, and land there, and tidal turn and bring us back. In the other direction, Brooklyn Bridge Park is about 90 minutes away. A couple of weeks ago, we left from Newtown Creek. It took us 2 hours to get to Red Hook. The plan was to go to Brooklyn Bridge, but we made good time. We decided to press on and get to Red Hook. We came back in 77 minutes because we waited until the tide was really running quickly. We got back very quickly. So those are some of our longer trips. I found that most people don't want that much of a trip. They'd like to see an hour, hour and a half, and we're trying to find ways to do that. But the current runs for 6 hours in each direction. So you can only do one short trip before you have to wait a long time for the next tide.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Any other questions?
Only comment.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I used to do kayaking with your organization many times, and me and my daughter we learn with all of you, and it really is good experience. I hope so. A lot of people go. I'm really excited to start back in the area and Vernon Boulevard. Thanks so much for all your good job. Thank you.
Thanks for the testimonials. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ted. Appreciate it, Ted, and also Donica, right, is with you also.
Danica showed up here too. Yes, I hope we get Richard on a boat this year.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't have any pictures of that.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
You know, everyone, this has been a great presentation so far. You know, it's basically really fits within the Parks and Culture Committee. Well, we've had some examples of parks, of recreation, of culture, and this is what we're all about. We are so lucky on the waterfront to have all these wonderful assets and wonderful people involved. And it's going to be a pleasure over the next year to do what we can here on the community board to help facilitate all this. So we're really looking forward to it. I don't know if Monet's available at this point. Is Monet, are you available? Okay, well, that being the case, the next part of the meeting will be discussing the capital and expense budget and how it pertains to the Parks Committee. We're going to be, first of all, this particular budget of expenses and capital projects, what we're doing is prioritizing different projects and different expenditures so that the city itself gets this information, and we help the elected officials and the city agencies to make decisions with what to do with their assets, be it capital or be it expense. A capital project is something where something is constructed. I'm not sure the exact term, but it's basically construction, and it's funded normally by bonds, by municipal bonds. The expense side is more about operating costs and things like this for the agencies, and it's primarily coming directly out of taxpayer dollars. So those are two of the general descriptions between the two. Parks historically had quite a few items within the budget, though I will say this, you know, back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, our capital expense was probably 70, 80% parks related. Now, though, so much work has been done over the last 10 years, and we've been so blessed here that so much renovation has been done that it is reduced, but there still are a lot of very important items that we need to discuss. Again, to give you an example, a capital project might be something like, you know, the renovations that are going on in the Astoria pool. An expense project would be maybe, you know, asking for further staff or something so that the parks can operate correctly. This is sort of the two directions that we're going in. So what we're going to be doing this summer is we're going to be reaching out to all the committee members. Okay, we're going to be getting them a list of current projects that exist within our current capital expense priorities. Plus, we're going to be doing outreach to the community, primarily through a lot of the parks organizations, to see if they have any additional needs. And at that point, you know, through the summer and come September, we're going to do everything we can to prioritize everything so that our electeds and the city knows what we really need. This is very, very important. They need to make decisions, informed decisions, and we're the people on the ground that really know what's important. So, is there any questions about that? No questions. I know a lot of us.
Do we have a, do you have a, have you already received a, has the committee already received an outline of the work at Rainy Park? Do you know the timeline on that, capital?
You know, I'm the, as far as when it's going to be finished, there is on the park website a specific capital page. It gives all the dates, the current dates. Again, Monet, if Monet's available, she could get on. Maybe she knows this information. Monet, are you available?
Richard, I also last time I ran into somebody at Parks and got a rainy update. They said
Oh, good.
September, but again, that's like 3
That
months
doesn't-
away. It doesn't look like,
Doesn't
yeah,
look like it to me.
no. No. So
You know, what we'll do is we'll try and see what we can find out, and we will, you know, get back to you, okay? As soon as we can with an update, with the most current update. But then again, like I said, Parks will normally, if you call Parks right now, they just refer you to their website. So if you go on their website and just do a search for capital projects and dates, that's what you'll find. So, yeah. So, anything else? Any other questions? Okay, as far as another date too, I know that Neil is with us from Whitey Ford, the Friends of Whitey Ford Field, and he asked that we announce a cleanup that he's having. Let me get the date of that. Hold on. Okay, the 22nd of June with a rain date for the 29th of June. This is a cleanup again in Whitey Ford Field. So if anybody would like to volunteer to help, we often get also from the supermarket down there, Brooklyn Harvest, they often donate coffee and foodstuffs and things like that to help everybody. But that's a good cause. We like to keep the field as clean as possible. So, okay. Are there any other questions at this point in regards to having to do with anything we discussed?
Richard, there's a message in the chat you may want to look at.
Yeah, okay, number one, Florence has down here, the capital tracker is online and accessible to all. That's what I was mentioning. Yes, it's great. And also, a question from, hello, my name is Brandon J. I'm a life scout with the BSA, and I would like to address the committee whenever I have a chance. Thank you. Okay, this is from Kate McKay. Is there a Kate there? Okay, well, I don't see a Kate. So if you really have something you'd like to, oh, I see you now. Okay,
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm on my mother's account. It's
okay, very good. Yes, what can we do? Under new
so I'm a life scout with Troop 65 Astoria. You know, I live in Astoria as well. I've lived my entire life here, and you know, I am working towards my Eagle rank, and with that, I have to do a project that would benefit, you know, a non-for-profit. So I decided I'd want to benefit my community because I really value it, and with that, I want to build these little libraries. They're really easy to build. They're made out of, I'd use mostly recycled wood, like recycled materials, but if I can't get it, I'll just buy it new. And basically what it would do is I want to build them because I want to benefit the community, and I feel like the community would really benefit from something like this because I feel that it promotes reading, and I feel like especially literacy, like nowadays when, you know, most people look at their phones, most people look at their tablets, and they don't really get the chance to read. They're mostly watching stuff. So I feel like literacy is kind of lost. So that's why I'd be building them. Now, as for locations, I have a couple places in mind. I'd want to start in parks because I feel like that's the best places to get kids to read, like especially like playgrounds. And I yeah, and the reason I went to this meeting is because I was hoping to kind of interact with people from the Parks Department, just get them to hear, what I have to say and why I think it would be good. I'll take questions if anyone has any.
Well, you do have a park manager, Monet, here.
Ah, yes, Monet.
Pleased to meet you.
We have Monet on. Okay, you have us from who's our parks manager. So, if you have a specific question for her?
Yeah. Do you know of any way I could possibly get a permit?
Oh yeah, all permits or requests are made online. I can drop the link in the chat for you.
Okay. Is there a possibility of you doing that? Thank you.
I'm sorry?
Is there a possibility of doing that? And if you do, thank you.
Doing what?
Putting the link in the chat, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
I would ask
Good.
if you want several, if you want.
I think that's a great idea. I don't, can everyone hear me? Because my internet's a little wobbly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Scouts as a starting point sounds really fantastic, and I hope the parks can work with the it looks like I might be frozen.
No, I think it's what she was saying is it's.
I can't tell if I'm frozen because you're all
No. Lynn, can you try once more, or you're dead? You're wobbled. Okay. Well, I think that it's great that you you make contact with Monet.
Just
Brandon?
saying, I hope the parks can work.
Lynn, if you hear me, I don't think it's going to work. Okay, your internet's very poor, so but we'll try and tell Brandon that it's a great idea that what you're doing. If you want, you can send an email also following up to our community board office to the attention of Florence. If you look in the chat, Florence, you have the email in the chat?
No, it's not there, Richard. You can just provide it if you like.
If you would provide it, that would be great, Florence. I appreciate it. Okay, and the same thing, and we'll also follow up with the Parks Department. This is a great idea. I look forward to seeing it fulfilled. Thank you so much. Okay, very good. So everyone, again, like we're saying, this is just a great first meeting. We're going to be again working over the summer to try and develop a list of capital and expense items that we're going to go over. We look forward to working with everybody. I can't wait till we get you know, the whole group back. Okay, and with that, if there's no other questions, do I have somebody that would like to call the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Good, that's Shahana Zaz. Okay, thank you. And second?
Amy.
Amy,
Second.
okay. And see everybody in September. Have a wonderful, wonderful
Or
summer.
at the parks or at Noguchi's.
Yes, yes.
Good night, all.
Okay, good night.